So thanks very much, guys, for having us today, and thanks for inviting us. It looks like quite the turnout today. I'm a little bit nervous, actually. So yeah, I get it's quite late in the evening, right? You've probably all had a long day of slogging it at work. So we're going to ease into proceedings with one of my favourite parts today. Lunch. So we're going to make it a little bit interactive. So by way of raising your hands, who loves sandwiches? Yeah, I really love sandwiches. So again, by way of raising hands, who has had a sandwich for lunch today? And if not today, at some point this week? So we kind of love sandwiches, maybe not as much as me, but no, there's still a love for sandwiches, right? And actually, the BLT is apparently the British public's favourite sandwich. Who would have known? So, again, we're going to keep this interactive. So, how many slices of bread do you reckon we throw away each day to make sandwiches like these? So again, by way of raising hands, do we think it's A, 240,000? And I'm not going to raise my hand, by the way. So A, 240,000. Intelligent. B, 2.4 million slices. Or C, 24 million slices. So a few of you didn't put your hands up, guys. Come on, the rate. But yes, 24 million slices of bread are thrown away each day in the UK. Which is crazy, right? That's 900,000 tons of bread each year. So for the international travellers in the room, that's the weight of the Golden Gate Bridge. That's massive. Really massive. So what does this really tell us? And what does it make us think about the impact that this wastage is having on our society, on our environment, on our planet, other than a lot of missed opportunities for butter and toast? Well, this is really the crazy part, right? 1/3 of all food produced is either lost or wasted. That's crazy. 1/3. That equates to 1.6 billion tons of food each year, or 50 tons per second. That's right, tons, not kilos. So that's 50. That's 100. That's 150 tons of food thrown away. By the time I've been stood up here, we will have thrown away 9,000 tons of food, which is crazy. So I ask you, next time you're at lunch tomorrow or eating dinner tonight, imagine 1/3 of your plate of food essentially ending up in the bin. Now I break food waste down into 3 areas. We see it as an environmental issue. 8% of greenhouse gas emissions are estimated to come from wasted food. Now that's not food produced, that's food wasted. Meaning that if food waste was a country, it would be the 3rd largest greenhouse gas emitter after the US and China. We see food waste being a social issue. 870 million people go hungry each day, yet there's enough food to feed everyone. And then finally, we see it as a financial issue. $1.2 trillion we're spending each year in the global economy on food waste. Now, to give it a UK context, we spent £16 billion on food waste last year, and our police budget was £2.5 billion. So why are we still doing this? So next, I want to ask you, what is the public response to other environmental causes? What emotions do we feel when we see a turtle injured by a straw, or a whale killed by plastic bags? Do we feel emotions of anger, sadness, rage? But what do we feel when we see, someone throwing a sandwich away in the street? Or a bin bag filled with trash that was going to go in the bin because that food's exceeded its use by date? Do we still feel those same emotions of anger, sadness, and rage? Maybe. Maybe not. But my point being is that food waste really hasn't had its blue planet moment yet. Because let's face it, food waste isn't sexy. But this doesn't mean that it's no less important than any other environmental cause, just because the direct consequences are far less visible. So does this mean that this has led to, less action, or an acceptance that food waste is inevitable? We have big businesses that sustain themselves on food being thrown away. We have 24-hour supermarkets with shelves that are fully stacked day and night. We have shops and cafes with fridges and counters with food that is always stocked. Because why? Us as consumers can't buy from empty shelves. And we as consumers demand freshly prepared every single day. So should we challenge this? Are we challenging this? Well, I think we can all agree that food waste is a massive issue. But it's not just an issue, right? It's an opportunity. And it's an opportunity for us collectively and individually to have a positive impact. So I'm not asking anyone to eat less food. I'm not asking anyone to change the way they eat food. We're just asking people to stop throwing food away. And I guess this is where it all started, as Too Good To Go to be a vehicle that can inspire and empower, but importantly, facilitate action against food waste. So way back when, I actually used to work in events, like big sort of conference styles with masses and masses of people. And that's when I first encountered food waste on such a grand scale. Now, I'm not just talking about the quality. I mean, there was chicken Maryland and beef steaks, that was the usual conference staple. But it was the quantity of food. I'm talking 250-litre bin after 250-litre bin filled with perfectly edible food. Now, as a food lover, I hated that job. So again, let's fast forward a few years, and I was actually working with Amnesty International at the time. And we did an event where all the food was rescued from the bin. So that chicken Maryland, that beef steak, had been repurposed into an amazing spread. Fantastic, right? Food rescued from the bin. But that got us thinking. If food could be rescued from the bin, how could we, make sure that food was rescued before it hit the bin? Because let's face it, we don't all want to go dumpster diving, right? And I guess that's really when I became like a food waste warrior or a food waste activist. So in 2015, myself and a best friend met a group of like-minded social entrepreneurs, all with a connection to Scandinavia, but a passion for fighting food waste. And we said to each other, we could go far alone, but further together. And that's really when the movement began. So we started in proper startup fashion. We lived and we slept in the office. It was gross. But then in 2017, we were very lucky to secure some investment, some amazing investment. And one of our angel investors is actually now our CEO. And she helped us really move from startup to scale up. We went from a handful of waste warriors to now over 200 of us in 9 countries, all fighting food waste. So what is Too Good To Go? You're probably wondering, it's been rabbiting on for ages now. Well, Too Good To Go is a free app that connects restaurants, bakeries, supermarkets, hotels with consumers who want to rescue their unsold and surplus food. Now the really simple thing is, what's food waste? Well, it changes each day, right? So we don't actually know what food we're going to rescue. But you can be pretty sure if you're rescuing from a sushi restaurant, you won't be going home with bags and mash. So, what are we really rooting for? Well, our mission is to create a movement around food waste, about inspiring and empowering people to have an impact and take action against food waste. Now that doesn't just stop at saving a meal. We want to inspire and educate our users beyond this. So I challenge you this. Next time you're at a supermarket, I want you to ask yourself, do you really need that buy one get one free when you're buying a portion of carrots? Or when you find yourself having to throw food away, do you feel those emotions of anger, sadness, and rage? So what's the future for Too Good To Go? Well, so far, we've been hitting the ground running. We're in 9 countries with 7.5 million users, rescuing nearly 9.9 million meals from going to waste. Woo! But, this is just the beginning, and this is just the touch of the iceberg. So we really want to grow and grow to be synonymous with everything to do with food waste, and in particular sustainability. So what I ask you now is to really please download the app if you haven't already, and join our movement on fighting food waste. Thank you very much, guys.